Hi, this is Jundo. Welcome to Tree Leaf. Some folks wrote to me after my last talk about our upcoming Jukai with questions about the precepts. They wanted to know whether the precepts were really necessary, because if we're doing Zazen, don't we naturally become people who live in accord with the precepts? Don't we drop anger, greed? Don't we live in a way which is good and harmless? And I think the answer to that is yes, but no. Let me explain. As we practice Zazen and it becomes more and more part of our lives, yes, I think we drop away anger, we drop away greed, we become less attached and clutching, less, well, people who are inclined to do harm. But at the same time, I think that all our lives, we remain human beings. And that is for the good and the potentially bad. We are animals at heart, after all, and that means that we always have the seeds within us, potentially, of, well, doing harm. We're just barely out of the jungle, you know, where animals kill and where emotions of anger and hate that have plagued human civilization for centuries are, well, always with us. So I'm going to say this. I think sometimes people have a bit of an idealized image of Zazen and Zen Buddhism, and even of Buddhas. Let me explain what I mean. Sometimes when you read the old sutras and the other Buddhist stories, well, as people told those stories about the great figures in Buddhism, they would gradually raise them up onto a pedestal, much like this Buddha statue is sitting on a pedestal. And they would tend to turn the people in the stories from human beings into kind of idealized images. Perfect, well, perfect super creatures, if you will, super beings, beyond the human beings that they were. A lot of the Buddhist stories end that, or the Zen stories, and suddenly he was enlightened, as if after that, all his human qualities, his human foibles, even his bad habits just vanished and disappeared. And I think it's a little bit of an idealized way of looking at our Buddhist practice. You see, our Buddhist practice makes us perfectly at home with our true selves. Yet we never leave these bodies behind, not in this life. We never leave this mind behind in this life. So our Buddhist practice always has two sides to it. On the one, we see through this small self who we are. We see a world where when it rains, when it is sunny, it's sunny. Just like I was talking about the other day, we are at one with nature. We see a world that is our home, and we are at one with a world in which there is sometimes violence and sometimes peace, and we are at peace with that fact, beyond peace or war. And we also see a realm where that is all dropped away into emptiness. This is all true. There's a realm that we experience, that we taste, that we know, that we are beyond being or non-being, where there is no one to kill, no one to do harm, no victim possible. We know this realm. But on the other hand, we still live in this body, we still live in this world. And as long as we do, we must be guided how to live in a good way. It's a little bit like this garden behind us. Someone said that the garden is not natural, and I beg to disagree with you. That garden behind me is very natural, but it requires care and nurturing to maintain it, just as if through the precepts we must take care and nurture our own lives. Part of our Zen practice is to accept that sometimes there are weeds, though we despise them, and sometimes there are flowers which we love, and those flowers die, though we wish they won't. Life is not always as we wish, but it is what it is. But two, part of Zen Buddhism, part of Buddhism, since the very beginning, has always been not only being one with our true nature, but also improving upon our human and animal nature. Animals wish to kill. We reject killing. We reject anger. We reject hate, though it has plagued human beings for centuries. So that's another reason I think the precepts are actually very, very necessary. And let me say again, especially for beginning students coming along the way, the precepts keep you on a good course that facilitates your Buddhist practice. But even for someone who has been doing Zazen for many, many years, and even though the hate and the anger will greatly drop away, still the precepts remind us what is a good and harmless life. Okay? Shall we sit with that?